trying to convey is the advantage that you can have if you can identify plants when they're just emerging, when they're young. Both beneficial plants and non-beneficial plants. Obviously, beneficial plants or desirable plants are ones that, if you recognize them young, you won't accidentally pick them, mistaking them for a weed, and you have what a lot of gardeners call volunteers, and they become, free plants, basically, which is great. The other thing is to be able to recognize non-desirable plants, invasive species, non-native species, early, because the earlier you can recognize them when they're just emerging, the easier it is to just yank them out, they don't get established, they don't flower, and they don't set seed, which is the thing you really don't want. And also some of them spread by roots too. So another thing that's important to remember is the inside the fence plants and the outside the fence plant. Jewweed is a great inside the fence native plant. It's an annual. It provides a lot of benefits. Probably the biggest benefit is for hummingbirds. It's a big hummingbird attractant. Also, it's prolific. So if you let one seed, you're going to have it popping up everywhere. But don't worry about that, because it's really easy to pull out where you don't want it. And if you have a plant like that, a native that's desirable and it's prolific, it actually helps to suppress non-natives because it's so prolific. So I think they're great. They are a plant that deer will focus on outside the garden. So you probably want to keep it inside. It likes wet areas. I would say probably sunny areas up to deep shade even too. It has additional benefits which are really cool. One is that you can use it like an aloe, break off pieces and rub it on any skin irritations, dermatitis type problems or anything like that. It also has interesting exploding seeds, which is really fun to show kids. And then if you combine that with kids with the edibleness of the seed, you can actually eat the little seeds. They taste a little bit like walnuts. If you get them early, they taste like spicy walnuts. But that's another, kids, I find once you tell them you can eat something, they just go crazy. Whitewood aster is a great native plant that I believe a lot of people are probably picking early in the spring as it emerges, because it's just kind of another green thing sticking up early. It is a perennial, and it is really great to have in your garden as a filler. It will kind of spread about and reseed inside the fence. I would think it does grow outside the fence, but right now this is July, and I've noticed all of them have been nipped by the deer. Early in the season, at least, if you turn the leaves over, they'll be purple underneath. That purple tends to fade in the middle of summer. Still hasn't flowered yet. This is July, still hasn't flowered yet. So even now, people could be picking it on mistake when it's going to be this great late season white aster that's going to be fantastic for late season pollinators. Like I said, it's just this free filler. You don't have to go buy marigolds to fill in between your perennials. Snakeroot is a great outside of the fence native plant. Great for pollinators. It has opposite leaves with kind of long stems on the leaf, and deer do not like it at all. So when it's out there and you get a colony growing, it's really nice. Late in the season it'll come out. It tends to have these leaf miners, so all these little like trails in the leaves. So that's another way you can use it another tool you can use to identify it. Dogbane or hemp dogbane or Indian hemp, often mistaken for a type of milkweed. Looks just like a milkweed, but I think technically it is not. It's very deer resistant, so it's a great for outside the fence native. And there's this spectacular dogbane beetle that puts Japanese beetles to shame as far as its look. Don't mistake it for Japanese beetle and squish it. Basically, if you see a beetle on dogbane, don't kill it. Just leave it there. It's really cool and gorgeous beetle. Very good pollinator plant. So over here we have a one of the bad guys. This one you definitely want to keep your eye out for. You want to try to become familiar with it. This is called Mile-a-Minute Vine. I've picked most of it out of the garden. I kept this one though because there is what we call a biocontrol. In other words, we've introduced an animal or an insect that eats it. This is a weevil. It's super, super tiny. I think there's actually one, that little dark spot right there. I think that's one of the weevils. So that's introduced, and that's why it's got all these holes in it. But most of the time, you're definitely going to want to pull this. It's an annual, so you want to pull it. It comes up pretty easy, although it does have these little spikes, these little hooks on it. You can see them there. And those hooks are not big and scary, but they will get you. Another real bad invasive that really it pays to be able to recognize early is the black swallowwort. This is really bad, a really bad guy, not just because it takes over, it also sets seed, it'll set seed very quickly. Even if you don't get all the plant, whatever's left will flower, just as quick as if you didn't pick it, and set seed very quickly. And those seeds are wind blown, kind of like smaller milkweed seeds with the silk on them, so they'll go everywhere. The reason it's so damaging is it will fool monarch butterflies. Females will lay their eggs on it, and then the monarch caterpillars will hatch, and they can't eat it, and they'll die. So black swallowwort, very, very, very bad. So to wrap up, if you have a significant area outside the fence, it can really manage that for native plants. It can make a big difference in the habitat. And if we all do it, we've created a giant habitat because we're all connected in our community. My philosophy and hope for the future, in our area especially, is if we can get everybody to plant natives or recognize natives, we can really create a quality native habitat greenway, which is just going to increase biodiversity in our communities, pollinator-wise, but everything else associated with that. It's everything from insects all the way up to mammals and other wildlife.